This is the Brave Space podcast. Brave Space is a healing place for gun violence prevention professionals as well as survivors. We meet, we process, we heal in community. My name is Dr. Jordan, and today I'm interviewing Dr. Chico. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you so much. First of all, thank you for having me and developing a platform to not only educate people about what community violence intervention is, but to bring awareness to what we do, why we do it, and who we are. So I want to applaud and thank you for your ingenuity and creativity in bringing a platform like this to the surface. My name is Dr. Chico Tillmon, and I'm the Executive Director of the Community Violence Intervention Leadership Academy at the University of Chicago.
Nice, nice. We're going to get into a lot of conversation, but I was thinking about how I should start the conversation. And what I realized is that you're actually one of the dopest professors I've ever had. Like, and I had to sit and think about it because I mean that in a real way. So, I went to Spelman, I went to Emory. So I've had a range of professors, but you're a little bit different. And I think you know why you're different. And I think it's that combination of your lived experience plus the fact that like you took all of your life experiences and decided I need a PhD to address gun violence. So I want to get into all of that.
Right. I think many people ask me, like, what's your secret sauce? And I often tell them, is God gave me the ability to take complex theoretical frameworks and make them real practical, put them in common language so that people can understand it. I believe in disciplines and ideologies and religions, language is the barrier that keep people from understanding it.
Yeah.
And I would rather articulate something in a way that people can understand than articulate it in a way that makes me look smart.
Yeah.
So I just try and break it down and have a conversation with people so that they can digest the information and process it.
Yeah, you do a great job with that. I was talking to a few of our PX3 cohort members,
Yeah.
and we were just talking about how even just the style in which you lecture, it's real, it's raw, like you don't hold anything back. And just like you said, you really put a complex topic, theory of change, into a 2-hour lecture. And people walked away understanding it, whereas, in academia, they'll give you 12 weeks of it, right?
Yeah, I think really understanding the brilliance in our people and how we have been able to process information in short periods of time,
Mhm.
in many cases because our life depend on it. So we do have this innate ability to take information and process it as long as it's comprehensible. So I have to
Mhm.
give you the information in a way that you can comprehend it. And then you can say, oh, that's XYZ. Oh,
Mhm.
that's what that is. And I think that is so important. And that's what's missing because if you look at many institutions, especially in academia, it's populated majority by white males.
Yep.
So white males typically make up most of the professors in academia. So when you find someone that speak your language, that
Mhm.
understand how you process information and give it to you straight, I think it's easier for you to understand it and also be able to apply it. That's the
Yeah.
main thing. I don't want people just walking away feeling smarter. I want them
Yeah.
to have something they are able to use. Um, Another thing, I want to, you touched on it a little bit when you talked about lived experience. I love to share some of my background with
Yeah.
you so, you could get a better grasp of, who I am because a lot of people see you and when they see you, they see just where you're at. Like
Yep.
they see Dr. Tillman, but I'm much more complex than
For sure.
just my job or my profession or the level of education that I've attained. I'm 100 other things too,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I mean that um, in the most humble way. I'm from Chicago, from the west side of Chicago, born and raised.
Mhm.
Proud to say that. despite the many challenges, I grew up in a household with several challenges. From a teenage mom, my mom actually had a child at 16,
Mhm.
my sister, and my sister died. My sister drowned in a tub. So
Mm.
I was a intentional baby.
Mhm.
So my mom and dad had me, the first baby, at 16, you're not trying to get
Yeah.
pregnant while you're in high school. But my mom was, um, I don't even know if they call it the mental breakdown or trauma
Mhm.
or grief or whatever. She was going through the process of trying to heal from the loss of her child. Her
Mhm.
child was 11 months when she died.
Mhm.
And she believed that having another child could help ease that
For
pain.
sure.
So I was a child that was birthed with intentionality.
Mhm.
So that's the main thing. So my
Mhm.
mom wanted me and really like of course my mom had 10 brothers and sisters,
Mhm.
so grew up in a
Big
crowd of
family.
what and you got to think my mom had me at 18, so in her senior year of high school. So she
Mhm.
had two babies while she was in high school. Um but man, the way my mom loved me, I
Yeah.
can't even articulate it. But growing up in Chicago around mainly women, but being influenced by men really had me growing up disillusioned and confused about masculinity. And
Mm.
cause if you think about it, I was born and hey, I gonna say
Yeah.
it in the 70s, the early
Yeah.
70s. And if you don't know it, what's interesting is the world done changed, I could say about 10 times since I've been born,
Mhm.
or probably more than that. And what I mean, the mindset of the world. For example, when I was first growing up, prostitution was normal in Black community. I grew up during Black exploitation
Mhm.
where misogyny was a norm. Like it was
Yeah.
accepted where they even had some now when you reflect, you
Yeah.
be like, you see how what's the opposite word of evolved? Whatever.
Dissolve
I'm saying
or
like how immature we
yeah.
were as a people. When I mean the world, because they even are you familiar with a term called a rule of thumb?
I mean, I've heard of it, but put in
Let,
context
let
for
me let
me.
me tell you what it means. It means that a man could beat his woman
Mhm.
and children with a stick as long as the stick wasn't bigger than his thumb.
Mm.
That's the rule of thumb. And that was acceptable in the 70s.
Mm.
So if you think and if you think about it too, and this not me saying I agree with the R. Kelly thing, it was normal too. Like my grandmama got married at 13.
Mhm.
It was
Right.
I'm just saying if you think of all the cycles of life I've been through, like so like you seen a lot of older men marrying younger women, typically from the South, bringing them
Mhm.
to the North.
Mhm.
So you trying to figure out life, and you were even taught that you probably heard it before. Grown men don't cry.
For sure.
Men don't show emotion. Men are silent. So you were taught really in my early age to bottle up anger,
Mhm. Mhm.
which leads to a lot of implosion.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
so
Did you feel like you were trying to mold yourself into the men who were around you, like trying to be like how they
yeah,
were?
that's
Yeah.
where I'm going with it. From 0 to 13, because my mom got married when I was about 13 again. I had no positive male role model in my
Mhm.
life. All my role models in my life from 0 to 13 sold drugs,
Mhm.
were pimps, or were in a gang.
Mm. From the neighborhood, from the
Yeah,
local, yeah,
and my
and your
uncles,
yeah, yeah,
family members. I didn't know nobody that I knew no one that was what we call a square. Like,
yeah,
look at what we call. Even if you think about it, that's a derogatory term,
yeah,
by the way.
yeah,
So if you got a job and doing the right thing, you're a square.
yeah,
I'm just so you don't want to be no square, so you got to do. It's almost like you got to do
yeah,
something.
'cause you wanna fit in. I
It,
imagine you
you know what? And also, and I'm gonna dip my toe in your field. To avoid victimization too, growing up in a
yep,
space where the west side of Chicago was tough.
yeah,
It was okay for me because I did have uncles and I was taught, I was taught violence at a young age. Somebody hit you, hit them back. So
mhm,
I was taught if somebody is aggressive with me, match that aggression or be more aggressive.
mhm, mhm,
So when you think about that, growing up, you adapt all these habits or characteristics in order to survive and not be
for
victimized and
sure.
bullied in this space. So another thing too, people have a misconceptions about gang culture in Chicago, and I really want to break it down.
Yeah, let us know.
Originally, gang culture in Chicago started in the early 40s, 50s, but it really materialized in the 60s. And the reason it started because the men who were considered courageous and the vanguards of the community gathered and created a group, organization, whatever you want to call it, to ward off white supremacists coming in the community victimizing their women and
Mm,
children. So that was
mm,
the reason they started gangs in
mhm,
Chicago. And they used structure. But what happened was towards the end of the 60s and the early 70s, the government, along with other entities, infiltrated gangs
mhm,
by what? Supplying drugs. So gangs began to control the black market,
yep,
and also they began to see how lucrative it was
mhm, mhm,
by controlling gambling, prostitution, and drugs. Now that it's revenue with this gang,
right,
so it kind of skewed the focus. But it's still, I would say this too, what a lot of people don't know, and what's the biggest transition about gangs. If you lived in Chicago and you was doing the right thing, you ain't had nothing to worry about. It wasn't like people
mhm,
just bullied people who was innocent. If you
mhm,
weren't in a gang, they didn't bother you.
mhm,
It was just gangs against, groups against groups. And with all of this going on, that's what kind of influenced my behavior along with me playing sports. Um,
and this was, like, after 13
no, these
or
all of a
still
sudden,
0?
but early, another thing about organizations, that's what we call them. I wasn't really involved in them until I got it later on in my teenage years because I played sports too. I actually played basketball
Mhm,
in elementary school and in high school. So the way that I got involved initially, even in high school, was that people labeled you or considered you a part of a group depending upon where you live. Like if you
okay,
live over here, just like in Atlanta, you just said it was a gang in Mechanicville. You a part of that.
yeah,
They didn't ask you like, is you in the gang when they see you? No,
yeah,
they'll be like, where you live?
yep,
People,
yeah,
people smart. Where you live?
yep,
And you'll say, well, I live over. You can't say I don't live nowhere.
right, right,
Shit. And then when you tell them
yeah,
where you live, they associated you with that
yeah,
group. And in high school, we had challenges. But what happened was, I think growing up, I was like, I would use the word confused, a montage of different things. Did super well in school,
Mhm.
honor roll, gifted program, straight A's,
Mhm.
but with the shits.
Yeah.
But like on the low though, I was
Yeah.
smart enough to,
I
do
believe it.
whatever I did
Uh-huh.
on the low because you still got to be able to maneuver and
Yeah.
everything. And then I think I tried, I even tried because I really wanted to do something great with my life. I think in the beginning, like it was difficult because in school, even in the fucking gifted program, they was like, and my mom used to say it too, like, graduate from high school and get you a government job.
Yeah.
I'm like,
That didn't attract you? That wasn't
I'm, I'm
yeah.
just, you, that that didn't even agree with my spirit at all. Like
Yeah. A government job.
go.
Yeah.
So, um, what ended up happening in basketball? I thought I was better than I was. I really didn't get no offers. A lot of offers, when I left high school. So I ended up going to the military. But
Okay.
I think I went to the Air Force National Guard, but I should have went full time. I think going the Air Force National Guard is the same as the reserve. So you
Mhm.
go a weekend a month and you go 2 weeks out the year. Um, but still being connected to Chicago kind of messed me up. So I went to the Air National Guard. I went to a junior college and I was working a job and I was still broke as hell.
Mm.
Like
Mhm.
I'm talking about, I might have $50 or $100 at
Yeah.
and I'm
Any given
doing all
point.
this, like
Yeah.
I'm in school, working a job and broke.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, this ain't it.
Yeah.
And what the contrast was, I grew up from the neighborhood. I played sports. I know everybody,
Mhm.
popular. My friends making 10 and 15,000 a day.
Yeah.
So we go out to eat. They'll take me, and I ain't gonna say it's embarrassing now, but
Yeah.
at the time, you like, we going out to eat. I'm looking at the appetizer
Yeah.
for a meal, and they like, man, get what you want. I
Yeah.
got you. And
Yep.
after that, it wear on you too. And then I'm 18, 19. It's
Yeah.
impressive. I'm 20, and
Did it
I
was it challenging, like, how you saw yourself as a
yeah,
as a man?
like I'm just saying, we go somewhere. They got new cars. I'm trapping
Yep.
it. I got a trap.
Yep.
They come on, we get in the car with me. They might go, even I got some good friends. Some of those people I'm still friends with today. They might go shopping. I'm with them. Get you some shoes. They buy 5 pairs. Get you a pair.
Did
And
they see you as broke, though?
no, they see me as their friend. But
Yeah. You saw yourself.
we going in the store. I can't buy nothing for myself. You buying whatever you want,
Yeah,
and 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 I don't feel comfortable asking you for nothing.
for
So
sure.
what ended up happening was an interesting thing happened. Um, I was somewhere and I had seen one of my cousins and he was on, and I'm like, what? What's up, man? And he had invited. Now I got to talk about his ass now. He would make me catch the bus to his house, and he had 3, 4 cars.
Uh-huh.
So every weekend I started going over. I went over his house, and I was like, man, his house was beautiful. His
Uh-huh.
2, 3 car. I'm like, whoa. And I'm I'm thugging it. I'm barely
Yeah.
making it. I'm struggling.
Yep.
And one day he said, man, I see you smart, you still in school. And he had went and got some money. And he said, count this money for me. It might have been 50, 60,000.
Mhm.
And I counted it, but I counted it like real fast. And he was
Uh,
like, what's that? And it was like an off number. I was like 62,000, whatever.
uh-huh.
And he was like, get the fuck, you ain't count that money that fast. Cause
Uh-huh.
he might have went in the room and came back. And I was like, it's counting, it's this. And he was like,
Right.
He said, let me put it in. And so he had a machine.
I was gonna ask if there
He had a
was yeah,
machine. He
yeah,
put it in the machine. And I was right. He say, so he put some money in the machine and I'm counting and I beat the machine. Oh, I'm right there with the
yeah.
machine. He was like, how many ones is it? I was like, it's like 1,800 and something with one. He said, keep that. I was like, shit, this more, this more.
Just for counting
Look,
it.
look, no, he said, you can keep the one.
Uh,
He said, I don't want no ones. I'm like, this more than I done made in a month. I'm like, what? So he gave me a job just
just
counting.
counting. Uh-huh.
So every week I come over there, count everything. I had a
Yeah.
taste. I
Yeah,
got a
you got a
taste. I
taste
got
for
a
it because you
taste.
started seeing it. You
I got a
yes.
taste. I'm
Yeah.
getting the 1,800s. I might even get 1,000. And look,
Right.
90,000 going over.
Right.
And
All
then
because he doesn't like the ones. Was it just the
no,
ones or
he'll give me the
okay,
ones,
okay.
sometime the fives.
Yep. Okay.
I'm just saying he'll pay me. And then I was like, shit, I know everybody. And I'm from out west, I know everybody.
Yep.
I said, no, I want to work. I said, if it's like this, I want
Right.
in. Shit. And that's how I got introduced to it. And then I don't know, sports gave me courage and
Mhm.
toughness. So I
Mhm.
wasn't no scary
Mhm.
person. But also just growing up in the neighborhood, I never was like, I wasn't no bully, but I wasn't getting victimized neither.
Right.
Like they know I'm a fight back. So
Right.
got involved in it. Started slow, but then it to the moon, Batman.
So it started off with counting money and then
Yeah, then I got
what?
involved in selling. I started working.
Yeah.
At first I started selling weight, but then eventually he went to prison and I had the itch. Now I'm full-fledged
Yeah.
in. But I will say this, the thing I didn't know was the other stuff that came with it.
Okay.
Like got robbed.
Mhm.
Um,
How old were you? Do you remember?
yeah, about 20.
Okay.
Got robbed. Um, had people trying to extort me. Like now, the more money you get, I start getting attention.
Mhm.
And I was associated with a group too by then. Cause I grew up with all these guys that's in the
Mhm.
group. Then I start feeding the group. I'm all the way into it now. And then the other side, and I think I had a dispute with a group of guys. We got into it, and some guys shot at me, and a switch clicked.
Mm.
Like I became a different person. I'm gonna keep it real. Like
Were you
one,
hit?
huh?
Were you hit?
No, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the bullets flying right past my head, busting the windows
Yeah.
behind me. Um, Told you I got robbed 2 or 3 times.
Mhm. Mhm.
And even once, I'm gonna tell you something crazy, right? One time, now this how crazy. This one I knew I had went crazy. A dude robbed me, right?
Mhm.
And the dude pull out the gun. It was maybe like back there was probably like a 357 because the gun was big and
Mhm.
you could see the bullets and stuff. Now, a dude got a gun to my face and asked me what the drugs and the money. You know what I said?
What did you say?
Motherfucker, you know who you robbing. And then
And
when
that
I
was just
think,
like your automatic
yeah, like,
response?
I'm like, you know who
Uh-huh.
the fuck you robbing? And when I think back now, I could have died,
For sure.
but know what the dude did? Smack me with the pistol and say, yeah, you. I said, pow. He said, yeah, you. And he said, matter of fact, he said, I had some earrings on there too. He said, matter of fact, give me them earrings too, since it's you.
Uh-huh.
I remember laughing too afterward. But then, like, situations like that,
Is it well, let me ask this. Is it easy to, like, reflect back on that now
yeah.
than in the moment?
You know what it did though? And I was gonna say this, it took away my innocence.
Mm.
Cause at first, I ain't gonna say you it was a lot of things I wouldn't do,
Mhm.
but that took away my
Mhm.
innocence. And I'll tell you something that allowed me or gave me the ability, and it's probably gonna blow your mind, to be violent.
Mm.
The military. Cause it taught me objectification.
Mhm.
It taught
Mhm.
me to see humans as an object, like a op. I'm not, you don't hear people
Mhm.
say, well, I'm finna go shoot
Right.
this young black man, or they a op, or you label it something that's derogatory in your mind so you could justify doing whatever to it.
Right.
But I learned that actually in the military because they teach you objectification because so many people's lives depend upon you
Mm.
being able to follow order. If they tell you to go in there and blow that up or shoot, you have to do it. You can't be thinking about, I wonder if it's some
Right.
people, and you just got
You
to
just gotta
do
do
it.
it. Yeah.
So like I already had the ability to block things out and objectify, but when somebody shot at me, then I was able to turn it on in the street.
Yeah.
And it really like opened up a side of me um that I didn't, you
You
ain't
didn't
know
know.
exists. So if that's what we on, we on. And even in those times, like I was never a person that looked for those situations, but now I wasn't backing down from it. Like so, and the one thing I will say is like it's impossible to be in that lifestyle and not at least have the ability to be aggressive or violent. You can't,
For
you,
sure.
it, you know,
Well, you mentioned victimization, right? That's like an open door if you don't have an equal response to someone.
right. So that's the thing. So went on that run for a while.
And that's kind of when you knew your mindset had
Yeah, and
shifted.
I think I ain't gonna even lie, right? From 2021 to 24, my life was like Usher or some shit.
It was like Usher. In what way?
Okay, in the 90s, early 90s, during the crack era, a person with a good job might be making 30, 40,000 a year because minimum wage went number 375.
Mhm.
I was making 20,000 a day. So I'm 21
Yeah.
years old. I'm dating somebody 21 to just say 17 to
Mhm.
25, maybe a couple years younger, maybe a couple years older.
Mhm.
I'm like a damn rock star. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
you, you
Yeah.
you living like I'm just, even like I remember going on dates and people just being blown away. Like, cause the experience,
Yeah.
that's what I mean, like Usher or Chris. The experience we gonna have on the date,
Yeah.
you go back to your little boyfriend. You look. You go back to what's your little boyfriend, Larry. You
Yep.
Larry or John. You like John, like, hey, babe, how you doing?
Uh-huh.
I got that slice of pizza you like. And
Right.
I got your fries with it. You gotta think you 21. I got the
Yeah.
fry. I know what? We going out for some shrimp.
Y
You like if you don't
yes.
look,
Yeah.
and me and you just look, me and you, I done picked you up. I say, we finna go somewhere. You like, where we going? Don't worry about it. We go downtown to eat.
Mhm.
Just say we go to the airport, right?
Mhm.
What I ain't got no clothes. Where we going? We gonna get it while we there. look, look, and then you go back to
Larry.
yeah, look, you go home. Look, after the experience, you be like, cause I had problems too, cause I'm young, so I was
Yep.
dating multiple people, and people are I remember girls telling me, I'm done with this shit. You talking to all these girls. Okay, I understand,
Yeah.
sweetheart. They go back to Larry for a week and that slice
Yeah.
of pizza and them shrimp on the weekend. and catching a bus or a cab back
Yeah.
then, or him picking them. They like,
It's a different lifestyle.
that's what I mean. So, and
Did
or
did that also, like, restore, like, how you were starting to see yourself as a
yeah,
man?
yeah, and you know what? And it allowed me to do some great things too. Like
Mhm.
I might be dating somebody and shit, they mom behind on their taxes,
Mhm.
3, 4, 5,000. So you know how mama
Right.
feel about me. Hey, mom,
I got you. Right.
look, the taxes
Yeah.
paid for the year. Don't even and next year.
Yeah.
Mama, we keeping up.
Yep. Yep.
You know, and you know, so I was always good to people that was good to me. But
Uh-huh.
I think like just now I say this, right? The exposure to the lifestyle give you a glimpse of greatness and what's possible where mediocrity is no longer appealing.
For
Like
sure.
the thing that it did for me in a positive way, is no way I could go back to living to go back to $50 in my pocket, don't know what to do and just be happy. Some
Yeah.
people say that. Like I hear people say, long as and I'm gonna say this too, right? Because right after that, I ended up going to prison. I hear people say, and people say this my PhD is in criminology,
Mhm.
law and justice. And I hear people in criminology say as long as they don't go back to prison, they doing good. That's a success. That ain't no damn success.
Yeah.
You got
Why
any
not?
children?
No.
Say if you had a baby, right? And your baby grown. And I say, hey Jordan, how your baby doing? He ain't never went to jail.
Right.
Look,
Right.
look, he ain't never went to
It's
jail.
like highlighting a negative was really a negative.
Or look, he ain't did shit with his life. He ain't
Right.
never went to jail. He ain't in
Right.
jail. Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah. That's
That
yeah.
ain't
Yeah.
girl, he ain't in jail. And he ain't okay, what is he doing?
Yeah.
So that one never like appealing to me just to be mediocre or regular or I knew my life had some purpose. So yeah. Um
And also too, I imagine you knew I mean, you said earlier that you were smart, like, honor roll, you know what I mean? And even now, I mean, clearly, like, you have a level of intelligence, so maybe it was just, like, placed in the wrong
you and I ain't
direction.
gonna even say place, no guidance. Remember,
Yeah,
I had no male,
right.
and I'll tell you the worst thing, the thing I dislike or abhor. I want to use hate in the black community is the way it's structured, the structural.
Mhm.
In other ethnicities or other communities, there is a diversity of class and a diversity of occupations. It's not like that in black communities. In black communities, typically in our poor communities, every fucking body poor.
Yeah,
Everybody hurting. And
yeah.
if it's a poor community and it's a black community, everybody poor. And as soon as somebody get a decent job, what they do? Move. They
Yeah,
get the fuck. So,
yes.
but if you look at other communities, it might be a doctor in that community, it might
Mhm,
be a lawyer, it might be somebody poor in other ethnicities.
mhm,
So children have an opportunity to have role models and to have access to people who have been successful to
mhm.
ask them questions to help pave the way for them to be successful.
Yeah.
We don't have that in our community.
And I think too, it's also the level of poverty. Like, it's not just that we can't access good food, we don't have good transportation, we don't have good schools. Like, you might have a church and that's it, right? But you are impoverished on every level. So it's like there's really even no pathway toward advancing.
And you know what? I love the black church, and it's been a pillar in our community, and a lot of our advancements have come from the black church. But some of the theology has been a hindrance
Mhm.
too, because we have been taught sometimes to suffer on earth
Mhm.
and get our reward in heaven.
Later.
So
Mhm.
we supposed to be okay with suffering and not having nothing for our entire life,
Mhm.
and then wait till we get to heaven till we get our reward.
Mhm.
And while everybody else having their reward down here and
Right.
gonna have it in heaven. I say
Right.
that didn't work for me.
Right.
Um, but right after that, um, what's interesting too, around a couple things happened when I was 23. The group I was involved with got into it with another group, and it was a gang war for like shit a year or two.
Mhm.
So ended up getting arrested a couple times for unlawful, just having a gun on me.
Mhm.
But somebody trying to kill me, so I gotta have a gun.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something, for attorneys to be so smart, they the dumbest people in the world.
In
I
what
had an
way?
attorney, right? And he said, first time I got caught with a gun, he said, we gonna get you probation 1410. That's probation where if you complete the probation, your record clean. 6, didn't do it. 4, 5 months, I get caught with another gun. He said, why you keep doing this? He said, now I got regular
Mhm.
probation. Boom. Soon as we left the courtroom, I went and got another gun.
Mhm.
I'm saying to myself, fool, I'm going to get a gun because if I don't get a gun, I won't be coming to court. You'll be wearing my face on a t-shirt or coming
Yeah.
to my funeral.
Yeah.
So he don't understand the situation or the environment I live in. I need a gun to survive. I'm not just going to get no gun because I want to violate no damn probation.
Yeah.
I'm getting a gun because whatever situation I'm in, I need something in order to protect my life.
Mhm.
And that's the part they don't get. Even with these rules and regulations, they'll tell you like this person offended so many times, but without really looking in depth, why this person
The
keep doing
context.
this?
Yeah.
Yeah, the same thing, or why this person keep doing this. And I think, but anyway, the second time I got caught with a gun, I had to do jail time. And I had a really, lot of time to think. And
Mhm.
I had made a few dollars by then too. So I was like, I'm gonna leave this stuff alone for a minute. And it was some guys in there too when I did the little jail time. I think I did like three months.
Mhm.
And the guys was like, it was guys looking at life and they was like,
Mhm.
man. And one of the guys had asked me, he was like, he was nosy as hell, but we got cool. He was
Mhm.
like, "What you got?" He said, "How much money you got?" I said, "I got a few, few hundred put up. I got a little money." Now that's in the 90s.
Right.
And I'm only 23, so I got a few hundred put up. And I got a different kind of couple $100,000 though. I don't got no money put up and don't have nothing. I
Mhm.
got everything.
Mhm.
It was a point where shit, there wasn't nothing to buy.
Yeah.
You could you
Yeah.
straight. It's always something to buy, but you cool.
Yeah,
You
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 good.
buying something, you just
Mhm.
buying it to be buying it. And so when I got out, I was like, man, I'm done. But what pulled me back in was the people that I was cool with was like, we starving. And they was like, we need you to, feed. I fed the block. So like, I was like, shit, I'm done. So I ended up my case where I got to 20 years, I was introducing my friend to somebody else. And I got 20 years.
Mhm.
Now, all the stuff I done told you, I done been
Yeah.
involved. And the whole thing was in order to not go to prison, they wanted me to tell them who I was introducing them to and tell them about other stuff in my neighborhood. What the hell that got to do with the price of tea in China? That's
Mhm.
what I was asking them
Mhm.
like. And also I asked them like, y'all know it ain't mine. Y'all know I ain't got nothing to do with it, but y'all still gonna lock me up and give me 20 years.
And they were clear about that.
Yeah. They knew like, but they was like, I was the leader, the mastermind, and that was some BS.
Mhm.
And plus, really, what sent me to prison too, it was a fight. Um, Two people robbed my little brother while I was in the county. I had some guys beat them up, and one of the guys that got beat up called the feds on me.
Mm.
He didn't even have no case. That shit broke me. I found that out later on, and then came my journey in prison. Like,
Mhm.
um,
Tell me why facing 20 years that you were still okay, like, not giving them the information that they wanted. And do you think differently about that today?
I was brought up I was taught as a child don't be a tattletale.
For
So
sure.
so it was ingrained in me. And look, this how I feel about snitching or
Mhm.
telling or
Mhm.
whatever. It's not right for me to do something, me to get caught, and me to tell on you so I get less time and you
Mhm.
ain't got shit to do with what I got going on.
Mhm.
Or me to tell on everybody else because I got caught.
So you took it more of, like, your own responsibility for
It
your
ain't
own.
they want what I'm gonna do. I got they talking to me. What I'm gonna tell them about other people to lessen my time.
Mhm.
That's wrong. That's
Mhm.
wrong. Now, what I don't think is snitching. Like I don't think citizens snitch. Like just say if something happened to you and you a squad, you a you know, well you innocent. I'll say that word. You yeah, if something happened to you, okay, I'll give you an example. I'm not so fucking like stuck in the street. If something happened to my mama and she say somebody, Chico, somebody breaking in the house, I'm gonna say, "Ma, call the police. She a
Mhm.
citizen.
Mhm.
She ain't got nothing." But I believe like when you get involved in a arena, you play by those rules.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
I was involved in the underground or the black market or whatever you want to call it. So I abide by the rules.
Yeah.
Like if even though I was innocent in my case,
Mhm.
to in my perspective, I wasn't an innocent person. Like I done
Mhm.
did wrong. I done told you I done sold drugs. So like I looked at it as karma or whatever, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't, like and the way I view it now is I live by principles. I'm not gonna do that. So I don't got no part in. I don't do. I don't.
Yeah.
Right now, I don't. If you ask me like Chico, what do you know about nothing?
Yeah.
Because I'm so far removed from it. But that's because I know who I am. I know what I do in those situations. So don't be involved in it if that's
Yeah.
what you're gonna do. So it'll never come down like where I'm at in life now. It'll never be put on the situation. I'll never be put in a situation where
Yeah.
I'll be forced to tell on somebody else. I believe in loyalty too. Like also like you got to think 9 times out of 10 they asking you to tell on your friend or something. I'm not doing no shit
Mhm.
like that.
Mhm. And I like the way you kind of broke it down too. And I asked that question because I work with a lot of survivors, right? So like young people who've been shot, survived, and a lot of times it is their friend. And that question and that conversation comes up a lot in therapy. It's like because they're involved at sometimes they're involved in court cases, and then they're brought into like, do I testify or do I not? Right? And it's like it's complicated because especially think about it from a young person, they're like, they take that statement, "I can't snitch,"
Well, you know
right?
what? I think I'm gonna say this again, right? I think this is what I don't believe. Like, let me give you an example. Say two people going down the street, right? Two young people, school kids. Say two school kids from Morehouse or Spelman. Two
Mhm.
small. One of their friends gets shot and they know who did it, and they say who did that ain't snitching. They
Yeah.
ain't in no. They or if your brother or sister gets shot and you ain't in the street, you ain't finna retaliate. No.
Yeah.
But like if it's a drug deal gone bad and you involved in it, and that's a whole different story
Mhm.
because you doing wrong too.
Well, I think a lot of young people are just confused. Like
Right, yeah.
they're con-
That's
they're
why
they're
I'm trying to
confused
bring some
about
clarity. How could you snitch is usually when you complicit or you involved in some of the activity.
Mhm.
That it ain't no snitching if you ain't got nothing to do with it.
Mhm.
Like if a if a old lady sees something, that you notice they don't never say no old lady snitched
Yeah.
or no pastor. It depends. Like or if you get robbed and you call the police and the police get them, is that snitching?
Mhm. Yeah.
Or if somebody just thinks, okay, let me make it real evocative. A dude just said, this could be the most street dude in the world. His daughter called him, Dad, somebody coming in the house. This dude told me he gonna rape me. He coming in. He snatching my clothes off. She got it on speakerphone. You ain't gonna call the police.
Yeah.
You gonna let your daughter get raped, or you gonna let your daughter get assaulted, and you can't get there. You're not there. Cause some people say, well, I'll go. You're not there.
Yeah.
What you gonna do?
You're gonna call the police.
Or if you know
Yeah.
somebody that raped your daughter, is you gonna have your daughter say
Yeah.
something? Come on, certain situations, yeah, that ain't no damn snitching.
I
Oh, I'll give you a good
Yeah.
example, right? Had they called Cassie a snitch?
No.
No, because she a victim. She a victim. She ain't
Mhm.
no damn snitch. She wasn't complicit with that shit.
Mhm.
So I think we get it mixed up what snitching is. Snitching is me and you doing something together. You get away. They don't know nothing about Jordan. They catch me. And I say, Jordan, they got us.
Yeah.
I say, they got
They
us.
got us.
You like,
Yeah.
what you
Yeah.
talking about? No, they got us. I'm down at the station. You can turn yourself in.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
And snitching usually involves a person that got caught reducing their sentence.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Unless in my case, a family member became a confidential informant and just wanted to tell.
Yeah.
So shit.
Again, I like how you broke it down because it keeps coming up, right? It's a question that keeps coming up, and snitch culture itself is complex because a lot of times, and I don't know if this is the case, you could tell me, but it's like sometimes even just snitch culture is used as like a way to retaliate, like you know what I mean, like a way to retaliate against someone or to justify why I want to
Yeah, but
retaliate.
you know what? You got to be in the culture to even be labeled a snitch.
Mhm.
Like it's people. I think too. Like people can't play both sides.
Mhm.
Like you
Mhm.
can't be involved in this type of activity, and then when it's convenient, you involve other
Other
people to
people.
settle your disputes. You involve the criminal justice system, or you involve law enforcement when it's convenient for you.
It's like hypocrisy,
Yeah, that's
right?
what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think after that, then I had my prison experience. I ended
Mhm.
up doing 16 years, 3 months in prison.
Mhm.
Like the hardest part was the psychological and emotional toll. Like I remember losing my grandmother, and and I was like, damn, because I
Mhm.
was because in prison they say you got to be the same way with me every day. That's like a saying, right?
Mhm.
So if no matter what, I want you to act the same. So you become
Yeah.
emotionless. So
Mhm.
like when I heard my grandmama died, I was like, damn. People was like, what's up, Chief? I was like, yeah, my grandmama died. They was like, man, that's fucked up, man. I'm praying for you. That's
Mhm.
it. Oh, but we got a game tonight because we played sports
Yeah.
since like that.
Yeah.
They we betting on the game. Like
Mhm.
motherfuckers wasn't, you ain't no mourning.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like people ain't getting, you can't act up and cry and all. No, 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 no.
Was there anyone to talk to? Like, was there a therapist in the prison? I'm asking.
A pastor, they say you could get you get an extra phone call, free phone call. That's it.
That's it. It
Ask me did I want to watch it on if they send a tape. I don't. No, them people don't get the hell no. Hell no.
so you didn't have anyone
Then after
to
that, my dad. So me and my dad fell out when my grandmama died, cause my grandmother gave up because she had cancer, and my dad wasn't taking her to the hospital. So me and my dad had some words. I snapped, we fell out. Come to find out he was sick. I ain't know.
Mm,
So I get a call and um I get a call. I know I get a call to counselor office. He said, dial this number. I dialed a number. They asked me, you Chico Tillmon, yeah, your dad on life support. I'm like, should we pull the plug? I'm like, pull the plug? What the fuck? I ain't even talking to him. I said, I can't. I said, is he hurting? And no, he, he's sedated, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, damn. I said, I ain't even know he was sick. I'm feeling bad because
yeah.
I ain't been. He ended up dying maybe like a few days later or a week later. And I was like, damn.
Mhm,
Look, that's it. That's the emotion, not know. I think what made it easier, I hadn't seen them in years. I'm in
mhm.
prison. So it's not like when you out and you see somebody every day and they
Right.
gone. I still gotta focus on making it through these 16 years. But then after that, like 3 of my uncles died, 2 of my aunts. And I think, and seeing what my mother going through, one time some guys jumped on my son. Um, I was like, man, those things hurt more than anything else. But like just being in prison
Mhm,
around the people, that was these the same people. If you in the underground,
mhm.
these the same people I hung out with on the streets. So it
Yeah.
wasn't it was shit, it was a reunion.
Yeah.
Shit more
Yeah.
than anything.
Yeah.
A reunion. It wasn't how now for a person who a square and make a mistake. Like
Yes. Different.
let somebody talk you into doing something. Oh, they was traumatized in that motherfucker because
Yeah.
they like these dudes crazy in here,
Yeah.
and they just trying to make it through. Or a person with a white collar crime, you
Mhm.
know, uh,
Yeah.
they
It's different.
yeah, what what? But for me, it was um,
Did you feel do you feel like you were comfortable, like too comfortable in there? Because these were your friends, these were people you knew. Do you feel like there was a
hell no,
sense
I
that
wasn't
okay.
comfortable. You know why? Because prison is a caricature of slavery.
Mm, mhm, mhm,
You identify by a number. You have to work.
mhm,
You either work or go to segregation. Segregation is you in the hole,
mhm,
23 hours, you get 1 hour to come out. So you gotta work.
mhm,
And they like overseers. You do all the work and they just make sure you do the work.
mhm.
You really run the prison and they just lock you up every night. So how the hell I'm gonna be comfortable with a 22 or 23-year-old illiterate person telling me, shut up, sit down, go to bed, do this. Um, don't look at me. Don't eyeball
Mhm.
me. I'm just saying, what? Hell
Yeah.
no, I wasn't
Get
comfortable there.
comfortable, yeah.
Or the dehumanization, you come off a visit, you feeling good, you not seeing your family. What's the first thing happen after that?
I guess they slammed the door behind you.
No, you walk through the door and you get strip searched. You bend
Mm,
over, get naked, and they looking in your cavity.
mm,
So right after you had this great
mhm,
feeling from that, then you got to get naked and they strip search you every
mhm.
time. So you like bring you right back down to life. Like no.
Yeah,
So you like, oh, this shit is crazy. This
yeah.
shit is it's the more than anything, it's dehumanizing.
Mhm,
Um, I remember people working in the kitchen and all the meat say not for human consumption. That's what we eating.
really?
Yeah, meat be 10, 15 years old.
Really? And
That's why I stopped eating pork and beef. That's why I stopped eating beef.
and that was legal?
Not for human consumption.
Why was it not for human consumption?
That's what's labeled on the meat. It's outdated. Like after they don't throw the meat away after they go from the grocery store. They ship it to prisons.
Mm, I did not know that.
Yeah, man, that meat be 10 years old, 5 years. That shit ain't no good.
Mm,
Yeah, so you see stuff like that, and like that's the part, like really the psyche, like, and you
Mhm.
seeing this, it's almost like being in the Matrix too, because you see the same thing every day.
Mm. Mhm.
You wake up to the same thing, you walk and it's structured. Um, get up, probably go to the gym and work out, go to the law library, go do your job, come back to the cell, watch TV, watch the news, do it all over again
Mhm.
for 15 years, 16 years. Hell no, no,
Mhm.
I ain't comfortable.
Mhm. Mhm.
Then on TV, you seeing everybody living their
Living that
life.
life.
Shit, you hear more reminiscing and stories in there, but nah, hell no, you don't get comfortable in there. But I think like what helped is after about 7 years, I had an epiphany
Mhm.
and I really gave my life to God. That's
Mhm.
what really changed. And I left the gang, all that stuff alone. But when I left the organization, I retired with honors. I like to say that. I
Okay.
retired in good standing.
Okay.
So, no, the reason why I say that, because some people leave organizations because they either snitched or
Mhm.
they did some backdoor stuff. No, I left in good standings. I'm like, man, listen, I done lost my dad, my grandmama, my
Mhm.
aunts. I say, man, my mama say she ain't coming back down here if I'm still on this foolishness. I'm done.
Mhm.
And they was like, they respected it. They was like, man, and it was all love. And I still, and I did what I didn't do that a lot of people do. When people come out of a situation, sometimes they ridicule, humiliate, and kind of criticize people who's still in that space.
Mm.
So they like, I don't see even people. You'll hear people saying this today. I want to bring it full circle. I don't see how these young kids doing this.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
what the hell.
Well, what
The
are they
same way you was
thinking
doing
or
it.
right.
The same way you
Right.
was doing it.
Right.
So I was even that foolishness. One of them politicians super hell no. How they people ask me, well, how do you communicate with the youth? I have a
You have a
conversation.
conversation.
The hell you mean?
Yeah. Like, why how do you reach them? Like, it's like,
They
what do you
they in my house. They next door.
Yeah.
Like shit, what the fuck yeah. They ask the dumbest questions. Like, yeah, like,
Yeah.
yeah, some of them they just misunderstood. No, they not. How you
They'll tell you
yeah. Anybody will if you care to
if you
ask.
yeah. Yeah.
If
They'll
I
tell
s
you exactly
if
what's
you
going
looking
on
like
and
this, you looking sad, it's easy for me to say, "This is what's wrong with her." But it makes my sister say,
but just
"Hey, Jordan,
ask.
what's going on? You okay?"
Yeah.
It could be something I might be thinking something way left, and you might
Mhm.
say, "No, you know what, Chico? I'm just thinking about something. I'm okay. I'm reminiscing, and I'm good."
Mhm.
I might say, I be done sensationalized and drinked up this whole
Right.
big thing.
Without
And
ever asking.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. So went through the whole prison process.
Well, tell me about your epiphany. So, tell me
I
about
get
that.
you
Was
know
that like a
what?
moment of
You
transformation
know
for
what?
you?
After doing about maybe 7 years, I gave my life to God, and in a powerful, meaningful way. Meaning fasting 3 days a month, 3 days out of every month, praying in church all
Mhm.
day, studying the Word of God, reading it and really hanging out with Christians, like really learning. And my prayer from that day forth was not going home. It was God change me. Don't send me home the same way.
Mm.
Like
Mhm.
I just didn't. I say, God, if you send me home like this, I'm gonna do the same thing.
Mhm.
Like change the way I look at life. And when I began to do that, I began to minister to people in church. Few of my friends that I ministered to became pastors. One of them a pastor in Atlanta.
Mhm.
Another one is a pastor somewhere else. Got a lot of good friends that's in church doing amazing things through me ministering the word of God to them, and it transforming their life. And just people start calling me the Rev in jail.
Yeah.
I was so that really like helped me like really like find purpose. And I just did that for the last 8 years. Like for
Mm,
the last 8 years, I was just really on that. Wasn't really on none of that other foolishness. And then I even at first I was in an Illinois institution around all my friends. So I went to Minnesota.
mhm,
Then I went to I went to Duluth, then I went to Rochester, then I went to Atlanta. I was actually in prison. I was in Atlanta. I remember I was at the camp, but I was in the hole when T.I. was there. So I was in Atlanta, then after I was in Atlanta, I went to Alabama and I came home.
mhm.
So I actually like, broke it up. I was like, cool. I wanted to go on a journey on my own away from that too to really like I could
Yeah.
stand on I didn't need that right now. And then eventually when I they don't call it paroling, but when I was on supervised release, initially I came to Atlanta.
Mhm.
Couldn't make it. I ain't gonna
Yeah.
even lie. Atlanta was like now the crazy part, I had a lot of friends. I met a lot of people from Atlanta when I was incarcerated in Atlanta. But when I got out, a lot of people was like, "Man, we tired of y'all people, y'all." I ain't gonna say migrants, but people from
Yeah.
all over coming down here taking us. I was like, "Man, help me find a job." No,
Mhm.
you find a job. Y'all ain't taking all our. And I end up getting a job first at a car wash. First job. No, my first job was at Turner Field,
Mhm.
washing dishes. That
How'd that go for you?
shit, I was
It's
in
a
the
job.
halfway house.
Yeah.
I ain't had no choice.
Yeah.
It got me out the halfway house. Then I got a job washing cars.
It's a job.
It was what I had
Yeah.
to do that. Then once I got out of halfway house, I got a job at Kroger, the manufacturing company. Man, I was tearing them people shit up. I
Yes.
was driving the forklift, crashing it. I hope some of the people that worked at Kroger see me. They said, "Well, I was one of the worst." I worked hard, but that wasn't my
It
thing.
wasn't, yeah.
Man, I'm trying to drive. They say, "Man, you can't drive it." Look, I'll knock over. They'll have all the boxes stacked real high. I'll
Yeah.
knock the boxes over. They'll be like, "Pick them up," and then we had a quota every. Man,
Yeah.
I hated that job, boy. I hated that job at Kroger, but anyway, I worked it. And then I had visited home. I had went home and I had seen some of my friends that I grew up with who they older now. It's 20 years later.
Mhm.
They ain't in the streets no more. And one of my partners was like, what is you doing? Come home. You don't know no damn body in it. I was like, I do know people in Atlanta. They was like, come home.
Mhm.
And one of the reasons I went to Atlanta, my mom was afraid that I get back in the street because, my relationships in Chicago. So I said, man, I can't do this Kroger stuff.
Mhm.
And then one of my friends was like, well, if you come to Chicago, he owned buildings. He was like, you could stay on one of I give you an apartment, just pay your lights,
Mhm.
pay your utilities. And I said, you know what? I got to go home. I
Yeah.
was like, this ain't for me.
Was it the same did you go back to the same neighborhood or same
Somewhat, yeah,
area?
yeah, yeah. I went back to the West Side, where I'm from, but it was different because people didn't know. I was more. I ain't gonna even say no damn legend. What's another word for something? Not even a damn folk tale. People heard of me, but it's 20 years. That's
Yeah.
two generations. People didn't. Some of the people knew me. My children. I had twin boys. They was older, so people like that's the twins' dad, and
Mhm.
people knew who I was because I had the neighborhood, but it
Mhm.
wasn't like I wasn't on that time no more. So like got out. And what happened was when I got out, a guy that was my cellmate was into it with a guy I grew up with.
Mhm.
And one of my friends was working at Cure Violence, and it was called Ceasefire at the time. And he had came to me. He was like, "Yo, boy, into it with old boy." I was like, "Man, I could stop that." And
Mhm.
they was like, "The fuck, man, we've been trying to stop it all summer." I was like, "I could stop that. No, that's my celly, and that's."
Yeah.
So what ended up happening was, I went, I talked to my celly, I cursed him out. I was like, "We done did all this time. What the fuck you shooting at people doing all of this?" And
Mhm.
he was like, "Man, no, dude, this." And I'm like, "Man, get the." I was like, "Man, you ain't trying to go back." And I went and talked to the other guy too that I grew up with. I was like, "Man, that's my celly.
Yeah.
That's my little bro, man. The one I was telling you about." He was like, "Huh?" He was like, "But dude, bogus, blah, blah, blah." I was like, anyway, I was looking for both of them too. I needed a few dollars because I
Yeah.
just got out. I ain't got no money. So I say, shoot. I say, do this for me, man. I say, man, I say I can control him. And he was like, well, blah, blah, blah. And when I brought, just think two people been shooting at each other
Mhm.
or two groups for a whole summer. I brought them up to the office and
Mhm.
everybody was just like, and that was the birth of my introduction into the work of CBI. I didn't know what CBI was.
Yeah.
Never heard of it. But then they was like, "You a natural." But I got to tie in God now. It just shows you like God had allowed me to build relationships all over the country for 16 years in prison
Mm.
with people that's at the highest.
Mhm.
I don't even know if the highest risk of word for it because I was around some people who ain't playing the radio.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't laugh at jokes. Boy,
Yeah.
these people was what?
Yeah.
What? Psychopathic. I'm serious. Like,
Yeah.
and I was so like I knew how to talk to him. I
Mhm.
wasn't afraid. I think too, like another superpower is you get this ability to hold space with people like that
Yeah.
without fear.
Yeah.
Like typically you around somebody and you know they did all that, most people are afraid.
Right.
But I think I did develop a comfortability being around people like that and not being afraid.
Mhm.
And even in my early years, just think about what a violence interrupter does. It's a shooting or about to be a shooting. Most people do what? Run.
They run. Yeah.
I'm running over there, ain't
Yeah.
don't have a gun, and I'm talking a dude down who may feel like he was wrong, maybe on some type of substance
Mhm.
or alcohol, irate,
Mhm.
emotional, and I'm telling him not to do it.
Mhm.
So you constantly putting yourself in harm's way. So it takes a different type of mentality to be able to even do that.
And it was because they knew you that you could
Yeah,
run.
yeah. Also,
Yeah.
because it's almost like people say this with dogs too and other animals, how they have a sixth sense and
Mhm.
they can sense fear. So when you
Mhm.
walk up and a person know, like, man, what's up, man? Let me holler at you.
Yeah.
It's a different feel. But yeah, I knew a lot of people. I was able to talk. I had a solid name.
Mhm.
That's where even when we talked about the snitch, so they could be transparent with me because I had a reputation of not snitching. So
Yeah.
now they could be transparent with me about what's really going on
Right.
and
Right.
have a level of comfortability that it's not going to go any further.
Which is also key, right, to stopping other
Yeah.
incidents of violence. And again, I like how you broke that's why you're the professor, right? Because you you broke it down in a way that isn't talked about a lot, right? Like, it's not just that it's snitch culture. Like, so much of interrupting violence has to do with relationships. It has to do with trust. And whether you're in that lifestyle or not, people still understand like, they still understand how people are moving, they still understand people's demeanor, they understand even just emotional tone, like, "Are you afraid of me?" Right? Because that's gonna change how I approach you or how I interact with you.
You work in the field of counseling, psychology.
Nursing.
trauma-informed care,
Mhm.
nursing, the healthcare field in
Mhm.
general, holistically.
Mhm.
Your job requires professional patient confidentiality.
Mhm.
Only way you could be successful if I tell you what's wrong with me.
Right. And if you can literally tell me exactly what's going
Right.
on.
Ri
Yeah.
and it's the same with me. If you leave out details like, "Yeah, I did rob the dude," or "I did do this," I
You can't help.
I exactly, I
Mhm.
can't resolve the issue, so that's why it's so important that they feel comfortable even having that type of dialogue with you,
Mhm.
and that's where that whole other part comes in where people who may have cooperated might not be the best person to be having those conversations.
Mhm.
Another thing is if for some reason that person get arrested because they did do something,
Mhm.
if you have a history of being involved with the police, they gonna think you the one that did it.
Yeah.
And then it puts you and your family in danger. So yeah, that's not the best thing to happen. But after that, to see the impact that it had on the people I talked to,
Mhm.
the community, and I felt a feeling I never felt before
Mm.
when they say, "Man, you saved lives." And I was like, "Huh, I never thought about it in that context."
Just by bringing those 2
Yeah,
together.
because they shooting at each
Yeah.
other and they was telling me like, "No, they shooting at each other. It's kids outside
Mhm.
playing. It's not just them two, it's groups." And they was like, "Man, you." And then I also had an experience or something that came out of it was more powerful than all of that. I got an opportunity to call my mother and say, "Ma, I got a job."
Yeah.
And it gave me an identity as opposed to the lie I was living prior to going to prison, which
Mhm.
was you meet somebody, they, "What you do for a living?" "I'm a business owner. I'm in real
I'm an
estate or
entrepreneur.
entrepreneur." All them lies. Yeah, yeah. "I'm a salesman."
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, I'm in sales.
Yeah.
But,
What was
yeah,
your job? What
uh,
was that job?
a interrupter. I was a
Mhm.
violence
Mhm.
interrupter, and I did that for a few years. And what really changed my life in that space too, what took it in another direction is I asked I'm working with this guy, one of my best friends now, Dave. I was like, "Man, some of these people supervising us, shit, some of the shit they got us doing questionable.
Mhm.
How did they get to be the damn supervisor?"
Mhm.
He's like, "You gotta go to school." I'm like, "That's it?
Yeah.
I'm enrolling in school." So I went and enrolled in school, and I gotta give a shout out to Merlin, my first program manager. She was like promoting education, and she was like, "If you go to school and you passing, if you got a class during work, I got you." So I went. Now this I've been in prison, so I'm
Yeah.
institutionalized. So I'll tell you what helped me too. Something that God did that's powerful. When I was in, remember I always say like I was innocent of what I did. When I was in prison, I was in the law library at first, like 4, 5 hours a day. So I'm used to reading
Mhm.
cases, shepherdizing them, doing all this stuff, looking up cases,
Mhm.
referencing them. So my mind is programmed to taking in information, dissecting it and all of that, interpreting it, writing briefs.
Mhm.
So when I enroll, I go to enroll in school. I'm gonna tell you something funny. So I go, I enroll. They say, "How many classes you want to take?" I say 6.
Mhm.
So I sign up for 6 classes. They like, "6 classes? You ain't been in school in this long?" I said, "I want to take 6 classes." I said, "I'm 40. I don't want to be 100 when I graduate."
Yeah.
So I go to the financial aid people. The lady says 6 classes. She say, "Take 4." I said, "I'm taking 6." She say, "Take 4." I said, "I'm taking 6." "You're not gonna get any more financial aid. This is the cut." I
Uh-huh.
said, "I'm not trying to get no financial aid. I'm trying to finish." So I had a hard time taking the 6 classes, right?
Mhm.
I got straight A's.
Did
So
you? That's amazing.
when I got the A's and took it back to Maryland, Maryland was like so blown away. She said, take the classes, finish school. Whenever they land, they land. She was like, you got something.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then the lady at the financial aid, she seen me. She said, "Oh, so you a smarty pants?" She said, "My bad." So we got cool
Yep.
because they seen like my work ethic, like
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
same energy I put into doing wrong, I'm putting double
Mhm.
that into doing right. And I had an associate's degree already, so I graduated in a year and a half.
Mhm.
And I graduated #1 at Northeastern Illinois. I graduated summa cum laude. So like that
Amazing.
really blew them away.
Yeah.
I graduated on Friday and started the master's degree program on Monday.
Mm. What was your master's in?
My master's is in inner city studies
Mm.
or urban studies. The interesting part is people was like, you need to take a break and enjoy yourself. I say, you take a motherfucking break when you get to Hollywood. I'm trying to get a bag.
Yeah.
What I'm breaking
Yeah.
for? So even the school was like, when I had went and talked to Dr. Conrad Royale, and I was like, because I had to get approval to start the master's program in summer school. And he was like, I don't know, it's a challenging program. He said, but you damn, you did just graduate summa cum laude. He was like,
Mhm.
I'm gonna let you do it. If you don't, don't have this come back on me. And I took like 9 credits over the summer.
Mhm.
So, that's a lot. And it's only
Yep.
10 classes. I took 3 over the summer and I ended up finishing a 2.5-year program in 13 months.
Wow.
Of course, with a 4.0. So like,
That's amazing.
so boom, I did that. And during that time, I met Dr. Lance.
Mhm.
And that's when he seen like how locked in I was, he was like, you got it. I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
He was like, nah, bro, you got it. I'm like,
Got
what
what?
is you
Yeah.
talking about?
Mm.
He was like, I want you to get a PhD. And I'm like, the fuck, man, no, I just need the masters to be able to get these promotions and be
Yeah.
able to, really
'Cause you wanted to be a manager
a
of
program
a
because I
program
was making
manager.
$13 an
Yeah.
hour.
Yeah.
So I was like $16 an hour. I was like, so what ended up happening, I left pure violence, went and worked at a school, and they came back and got me when I got my master's to be a program manager.
Mhm.
And they put me in South Shore, the neighborhood where G Herbo and all of them
Mhm.
in. And I actually met a lot of them. And hey, I was able to bring the violence down in that community by really working and mingling and getting to
Mhm.
know the residents and building relationships and stuff like that. Um, yeah. But the main thing Dr. Lance was saying was like, you got it. And so I ain't gonna even lie. When he first told me to get the PhD, I was like, cool. He was like, it's a game changer. It's a game
Mhm.
changer. I said, what's the difference? He's like, it's a big difference between having a master's and a PhD.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay. So I'm still a little hood. So
Yeah.
I'm looking at all the licks. These programs with 3 years get a
Yeah.
PhD.
Yeah.
He like, no. I'm like, I'm finding ones where you online.
Online
Look,
and
no. He
yeah.
was like, nah, man. He say, also you gotta get trained in how to do research. He say
Mhm.
you need the rigor. He say you gotta go to I didn't know what the hell a research one institution was.
Mhm.
He was like, you can't go, and he broke it down like it's different levels. It's teaching schools where you could get a PhD with a profession, where
Mhm.
you doing a capstone, or you get one that's oriented or founded around research.
Mhm.
And that's what I was like, man, so I said, how long is it gonna take? He said, it's gonna take he said, it took me 8 years. I'm like,
Mhm.
8 years? So I'm like, cool. So I actually applied for one school, University of Illinois at Chicago, UIC. They had a criminal, he was like, yeah. He
Mhm.
said, it'll be dope. you was system impacted. Now you got a PhD in criminology. And I'm like, okay, I applied. Um, I applied and it was like 65 applicants. So I'm like, damn. And they said they only had spots for 2 people.
Mhm, mhm.
So I say, shit, this where this, you know, this where it come in at. So I was like, how the fuck? So they gave us all interviews. Well, they gave us interviews, and what I was able to do, I say, damn, how do I prepare for the interview? And then I was asking people, and some people
Mhm.
were saying like, put your best foot forward. You tell them your research interests, and I prayed, and God said, not that way.
Yeah.
So what I did is study the 2 people who I was going to interview, everything they did research on, and I went and talked about them.
Mm.
And I told them like it was interesting how you use this methodology. It was interesting how you connected this theory and you
Mhm.
followed it. And they was like, and I said, and I
Yeah.
I, I said in humility, I said I studied Socrates
Mhm.
and Plato. And I said what I know from history and philosophy is that every great learner must sit at someone's feet.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
And the dude was like,
Yeah.
and because if you think about it, most of the people applying for a PhD got a 4.0 or got a 3
Mhm.
point. So
You
that
need
ain't,
something to set you
yeah.
apart.
And I got in, me and another young lady. And what's interesting too, right? The PhD program was the first time I was really challenged. That shit was hard.
Mhm.
I didn't get no 4.0. I got but I did graduate magna cum laude. So
Yeah.
I got like a 3.7 or something.
Mhm.
That's, it
That's
ain't,
good. That's
it
good.
ain't
That's
the 4.0.
good.
It ain't,
Listen, that's good. I think I had one 4.0 semester,
yeah.
right? It ain't easy. It's
No,
not
it was,
easy. It's
but
not easy.
I'll tell you something they told me that blew my mind. So I'm thinking, like, when I was going to get my bachelor's, people be saying C's get degrees.
But
In the PhD program, they said A, B, or F.
yeah,
That's the
that's it.
what? I'm like, so now all this pressure on you, and I'm like, whoa. And me and one young lady got in, and the young lady, I ain't gonna even lie, she was brilliant. She was smarter than me, but I think I worked harder than her. Like,
Mhm.
I think my biggest gap was I had not been introduced to quantitative research.
Mhm. Mhm.
So the quant and the statistics
Mhm.
was kicking my butt. That's where I really had my area of opportunity with the
Mhm.
quantitative and the statistics. And believe it or not, she was a whiz at it. So me and her got real cool. And what's crazy is she ended up dropping out and I
Really?
finished. She fell in love and got married, and
You said, "Forget that."
I
I'm
was
a
married and got a divorce. I say, "Give me the school, I get the
He was
marriage."
like, "I want the degree."
Yeah, I
Yeah.
say, "Shoot." I say, "I had a degree for the rest of my life. The
Yeah.
woman left me."
Yeah.
So, yeah, and once I got my master's degree though, another thing that pushed me while I was getting my PhD was when I went back to Cure Violence and on to the YMCA as an executive director, excuse me, people was writing a lot of articles about me, like, you could Google it too, from prison to PhD and
Mhm.
People
Mhm.
Magazine, CNN, all
Mhm.
the, so now I'm the dude
Mhm.
that's um from prison to I gotta get it now. Ain't no question. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
there,
this was before you even graduated.
yeah, like
Yeah.
oh, you're in the PhD program? Yeah, I'm in
Yeah.
pursuit of my PhD. I'm like, so
Yeah.
now
Yep.
it's
It's
known
more
all over the world.
pressure.
You
Yeah.
can't stop.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I'll tell you something, Cole, a lot of people don't know. So many, man, thank y'all too. I ain't never had a public thank you, thank you, thank you. So many guys from prison called me and was
Mm.
like, your ass better not be out there on nothing. We pulling for you. You representing
Yeah.
us. Get it.
Yeah.
Like, so really, like, my lifeline came from dudes, like,
Mhm.
and sometimes I'm struggling, it might be hard. If one of them will call me and be like, I'll be
Yeah.
like, man, this shit hard, man. Well, you ain't in no jet there. Man, shit, I don't want to hear that crying. You better get
Yeah.
get your matter of fact, I'm getting off this phone, then study. What the fuck is you talking about?
Yeah.
And they'll give me that talk, and I'll be like, you right.
You
So
yeah.
really,
Yeah.
how people say they did it for the culture, I did it for everybody that's impacted. Like
Mhm.
this
Mhm.
odd degree, we gonna get it.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's what really drove me. And the sad part is my graduation came when?
During COVID?
Yeah, so I ain't
Yeah.
even really get the graduation that I wanted. They told me 2 years later I could graduate, but I was
Mhm.
already I'm in my field. And man, my life, I can't even like the last 4, 5 years of my life is a fucking movie.
Yeah.
So let me just tell you, right? So when I'm on the when I'm on the cusp, when I when I graduated, I got a job at the University of Chicago as a senior research fellow. Boom.
Mhm.
Get this job, good. But when I was working with Cure Violence, I had kept moving up and became a national trainer. So what I would do is like actually build out violence prevention
Mhm.
programs in cities who had nothing, along with my other colleagues. But when I left Cure Violence, I began to do it independently as
Mhm.
a consultant. So when this last administration, the Biden Harris administration came in, I had worked in 5 or 6 cities
Mhm.
and done, I according to them, remarkable work, and the attention got to Amber Goodwin, Erica Ford, all of those people, of course, by way of my friend Tim White, and I was invited to be a part of not just the Black and Brown Peace Consortium, but
Mhm.
also this small group that was convened on the transition team for the White House. Now I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
this a whole nother thing, we not knowing where it's going. So
Mhm.
we on the transition team. We putting together memos. We putting together different things to move the field of violence prevention. And then we had an onslaught of mass shootings. I believe one was in Atlanta, one was in Denver, um, one was in Vegas.
Mhm.
And we were the group that advised the White House around it. But initially they did what they always did. Went to the white folks. They went to the white
Yeah.
led groups. And instead of getting upset, we called them on it. And then they said, okay, we gonna listen to y'all. And I believe they thought we were gonna do traditionally what black people do when they upset and feel unheard, which come in and complain and
Mhm.
rant and
Mhm.
rave. But when I tell you the people that was at the table are some of the most brilliant, phenomenal people I ever been associated with in my life and were intelligent enough to create a strategy you wouldn't believe. So what we did, and just to give you it was me, Pastor Mike, Erica Ford, Amber Goodwin, Anthony Smith, Shawnee
Mhm.
Buggs, Fatima Dreyer. Who am I leaving out? That's 7. Antonio, Dr. Antonio, and I might be leaving one person out if I am. God charged to. Oh, and Arisa Napa Williams. And we say so. And look, and I just want to give you our pedigree too. So we got people that got PhDs and masters from Harvard,
Mhm.
Yale. Um, what's the school in DC? I mean in Baltimore.
You Maryland?
No, the medical school in Baltimore. Was it
Johns Hopkins?
John Hopkins?
Mhm.
John Hopkins, Stanford.
Mhm.
Look, look. So Duke.
Yeah.
So uh, we had some. We was so disrespected. They didn't know. Like we got some hitters. These
Yeah.
some black folks. That's some hitters.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they thought we was just a group of people gonna come. And so they organized a meeting with us with Susan Rice. So we had an hour with Susan Rice and the White House staff,
Mhm.
and they say, "What you got?" We had a detailed agenda, a literature review, analytics,
Mhm.
data that proved
Yeah.
a cost ratio of violence. And she was like, and we had different methodologies of ways to mitigate violence in different situations, whether it's through the hospital program,
Mhm.
through services or survivor networks. We have, of course, street intervention. And she was floored. She said, "Never in my life have I been so surprised." She said, "Our meeting with you and with Brady and them and these
Mhm.
other people was polar opposites. And we had policies that they could." She was just like, and we did
Yeah.
all of that in like, I want to say like 4, 5 days.
Mhm.
So we worked around the clock to get that ready. And then we became the subject matter experts for the White House.
Yeah.
And they were so blown away too that we were invited to the White House the day the White House opened and honored on the Rose Garden. It
Mhm.
was it was during COVID. The first day that the staffers came in,
Mhm.
we was coming in with them, and I was like, I had tears in my eyes, thinking like, prison to
Yeah.
this? I'm
Yeah.
like, I couldn't. I'm like, what the God? I
Yeah.
can't. And we was like in the first. I was in the second row. Like
Yeah.
it ain't you just got in. You in.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then after that, meeting the attorney general,
Mhm.
conversations with DOJ, meeting senators and
Mhm.
governors, and I'm like, I'm on a meteoric ride of a
Mhm.
lifetime that I never could imagine. And then really pushing them to put resources in Black and brown communities. Um,
Mhm.
Pushing for the Bipartisan Safe Community Act. Actually, also with the ARPA dollars, help write the policy
Yep.
for people to get funding. Black and brown people
Yep.
help write the. I'm like,
Yeah.
this black kid that was in the
Mhm.
organization or a gang, now writing policy for the
Mhm.
White House for people to get funding. And then me and my partner Marcus McAllister, I gotta send a shout out to
Yep.
Marco. We did Fun Peace, me, Marcus, and Stephanie, because the money was there in ARPA, but nobody was getting it. And we went around to 26 cities, including Atlanta, and like 2.5 months. So,
Mhm.
and we was able to get $3.7 billion allocated to Black and brown
Amazing.
people,
Yeah.
the most in the history of this
Yep.
country, by the way. And shit. Before
Yeah.
that, then after that, we got him to invest in the DOJ. I'm just saying,
Mhm.
and with all of that, that's what led to the creation of CVILA.
Mhm.
I said, me along with Erica and the steering committee, that group of people, we said we got to do something to prepare our people for this influx of funding so that they could be able to build capacity and
Mhm.
scaled effectively. Hence, we designed and developed the Community Violence Intervention Leadership Academy.
Yeah.
And they asked me to take the helm of it. I already had a relationship, like with the University of Chicago. So I made the ask for the University of Chicago to not only house it, but fund it.
Mhm.
And they said, yeah, they believed it. I think they were they were surprised by what I was able to accomplish since joining the team. And they allowed us to build a school. And I think one of our defining moments was the first cohort graduating
Mhm.
inside the White House. Um, at that time, Vice President Harris
Mhm.
um, making remarks along with Wes Moore and Amy Solomon, which was the Assistant Attorney General. I
Yeah.
all in one. I'm just saying, like, even the access God has given me or gave me to people in power, really to be able to uplift our people and make our communities healthier has been amazing.
Mhm.
And that's
Mhm.
that's really what strengthens me, encourages me, and gives me hope. Even as we transition now into a time of uncertainty, as we
Mhm.
can see with
Yeah.
the
With
first few
everything.
days of this new
Right.
administration going in a different direction. But I'm hopeful because of the people I work with, like the people I've worked with, because of the people that's leading the charge. Um, I have anxiety because I know it's going to have a detrimental effect
Mhm.
on our communities, but yet I'm still hopeful.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And you have a lot of reason to be hopeful too, because you came out in 2020, not from prison, you came out of your PhD in 2020. And it's just the top of 2025. And you've already built a school. You did a different type of counting money, right?
Yeah.
Right? 3.7 billion. That's a little different.
Yeah.
Just to pour back into Black and brown communities to interrupt the number one thing that is tearing our families apart, right? Taking lives every day, multiple lives, which I think is just incredible, right? And really that's even part of just what this whole Brave space is about because we need to hear the backstory. Like we need to hear the stories of hope, especially in these uncertain times, because we don't know what's coming next.
I, if you think about the journey of Black America, it resides in resilience and hope
Yeah.
because we really started from the bottom. Now we're here.
Yeah.
When you
Yeah.
think about people who have nothing and can take nothing and make it into something, you see us.
Mhm.
We the
Mhm.
prototype for it. So, and I believe some good can come out of this next 4 years because typically calamity and cataclysmic events unifies people.
Mhm.
When you
Mhm.
think about
Mhm.
a great example was be I don't know where you were during 9/11, but
Mhm.
when 9/11 happened, it wasn't about no damn Democrat, Republican, this or that.
Right.
Everybody came together
Together.
because we faced a calamity or the devastation of the war on
Yeah.
terror or whatever. All of that other stuff out the window, we together. And sometimes it take those type of situations to bring us together.
Mhm.
And even as we look in our community, now it can be somewhat divided because, like you say, comfortability, complacency,
Yeah.
people
Lack of
really.
access.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
think some people really thinking about I instead of we.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
think when you think about we.
You're gonna get a different result,
Yeah.
right? And that doesn't require all the data. It's like you if you work to serve people, right, or to serve a need or meet a need, like you actually get a lot back in return as well. So I feel like we still have so much more to talk about. I want to wrap us up. But also I just wanted to say too, I like so appreciate the work you're doing. That's why I said you're the dopest professor that I've ever had. Even this conversation just gave me new insight, and I know we're going to continue and have
Yeah.
more conversations. And I like that you ended at least parts of your story with this idea of hope and resilience. And then at the end, I always let whoever I'm interviewing just ask me one question. That's how it's a brave space, so that I'm not just asking all the questions, get all the information. So I don't know. Do you have a question
Yeah,
you want to ask?
a couple.
Okay.
What inspired you to create a space to elevate the voice of people in this particular field?
That's a good question. I think a lot of things inspire me, but I would have to say the primary thing is just looking for ways to support the Black family, right? Because anytime I talk to someone like you, Dr. Chico, or, any number of people that I know in this field, it literally feels like I'm having a conversation with someone in my family, right? It doesn't feel unfamiliar. It feels like, someone could tell me we're going to the family reunion. I'm like, okay, right? And I think that's important because if I just saw, you as someone who has nothing to do with me, I'll treat you differently, right? I won't ask you how you're doing. I won't ask you, is there anything I could do to help you get to the next level? But if I see you as my family, right, or even the possibility of family, then I act different, right? So I think that's what inspires me. Like I really believe that families can be made strong and whole and healed, and we come from so many generations of trauma that I feel really motivated to help address this, and then specifically in this space, in the CVI space.
With everything that's going on, with the transition that's taking place, what's the pathway forward for Black and brown communities, for Black communities, Black families? What's our pathway forward? What do we need to do to be able to sustain this and survive?
I think we have to start telling each other the truth, right? Um, I think we should start there. Like, we've gone through some real trauma, but that's not all. Like, there's amazing stories like your story, right? That's the truth about who you are. It's not just Dr. Chico of today. Like, you had a whole life of experiences. So I think we should start telling each other the truth. And then also, I think if you have the opportunity to get good education, right? I've had all the education, all the experiences, but if you just settle in that and just, live a soft life, right? You don't try to give back, it actually does a lot of damage to the broader community. So I think we have to tell each other the truth, and then we have to be willing to give back, be willing to serve other people and not just serve ourselves. So I would say those are and you need a lot of faith. That's just my opinion. I need a lot of faith in this work because it's hard work. It's not easy work. So
That's
I'm
it.
saying,
Thank you
yeah.
so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Chico. This is the Brave Space podcast. We meet, we process, we heal in community.